Hello, 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 everyone. Good Woch. Wow, finished Sefer Bereshis today. The start of Shovavim. Very, very important. Baruch Hashem. They they think that when a person gets older, he's not bothered with licentious thoughts, moral thoughts. But unfortunately, it's not an age-sensitive issue. I mean, there's a different kind of obliviousness, at a younger age, but nevertheless, uh, it's a plague that you have to fight basically every time it comes around. There's nothing else. It's a big time for this scene to ask for everything. Without Hashem, here we have this Melav Malka, Sipurey Baal Shem, Sipurey Tzadikim, Sichos Haran. So we're basically turning the book of Sipurey Baal Shemtov around and starting from the beginning. Shas Yisrael and Godel Benevim was called, the remnant of Israel, a giant within the Nevi'im. Moron Eloki Kodesh Kodeshim Areinu V'Abeinu Avisol Ben Eliezer Baal Shemtov. He was zeicher to elevate the Malchus. Oh, Reb Chaim, good Woch, nice seeing you. He was zeicher to be mal the Malchus until Kesher Shemtov. He was zeicher through his emuna in Kodesh Baruch and Vekas in Hashem, Tachlis Ha'emes, that miracles were done by him, like Rabbi Chanina ben Doiso, that it was unheard of. His feats were unheard of from the days of the Tanoim. His main rabbi was Achia Shiloni, the prophet, who was full with Chochmah and Yiras Chet, Emes, and Chasidus, and Anova, and Shiflus Ruach. And Ruach HaKodesh and the Shechina were residing upon him constantly. And he was totally aware of everything that was going around, everything that was happening, and the entire present was open to him. He had a sogus of Aliyas Neshama, and which is like a soga mamash of Rabbi Akiva and his friends. And Gilu Eliyahu was a frequent thing by him, and he is the one that actually have brought down feet on the ground kind of regular emes in the learning of Kisva Ari and Dark Hashem Be'emuna and Kol Midas Tova Sheba'olam. They said that the Baal Shem HaKodesh, when he would say Hallel on every pasuk in the Mizmor, he wouldn't say it until he saw, the Malach, and heard the Malach singing that particular Mizmor, and he was saying it with him. It was filled with the Havas Hashem and Yiras Hashem and all the Midas Tevis and Chasidus and Anova and Avas Yisrael. And the Melech of Lizhensk, which is also a mitzvah to say things about him, from him, on Motzei Shabbos, that all the madrigas that were written about Ariya Kodesh, everything the Baal Shem Tov had and much more. He says, however, everything that is said about Ariya Kodesh was just a drop in the sea from what he actually had. He says that Tzaddikim of Shema Yochai and the Baal Shem Kodesh, even though their own nefesh is like a burning fire, they had a total bitul for each one in Am Yisrael, and with this they were mamti called the dinim. We know that Rabbeinu Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has brought down, the Giluyim of Teres HaKabbalah from, what's actually the Torah of Rabbi Akiva, his Rebbe. And he basically planted for generations the stature of the tzaddik. And it's a tikkun for the kilkul of Oysa Ish that poisoned that very concept and basically has set Yiddishkeit backwards and has been the bane of the Jews throughout the generation, not so much because of the millions of people that they killed, of Jews that they killed, but the fact that they contaminated the concept of tzaddik. And from then on, until, even after Arizal, until the Baal Shem Kodesh, that the Olam was reintroduced to the concept of tzaddik. And it was since the Baal Shem Kodesh and until Rabbeinu, it's actually a generation or two after Baal Shem Tov, Chassidus was no longer what the Baal Shem Tov wanted it to be. We have the Baal Shem HaKadosh once asked one of his Chassidim, what are the stories that people tell of him? So he told him about the various moifsim the Baal Shem Tov was doing. So Baal Shem Tov was very unhappy with that. And he said, Eliyahu Hanavi was doing pretty well on the front of performing miracles. But about Eliyahu Hanavi, they say, Ish Saru Achorov, that the people were swayed after him. Sachu Achorov, the people said after him, Hashem o Elokim. In other words, the accomplishment of Eliyahu Hanavi was when the king sent a militia, to tell him, he was sitting on a hill, and to take him prisoner. So basically, maybe this is the source of the saying, "You and what army?" They actually came to him. And they said, "Come down. You are under arrest by the order of the king. So you are Isha Elokim, you are the man of God, Eliyahu Hanavi. Come, you are under arrest." So Eliyahu Hanavi basically told him, in a biblical way, you and what army? He told him that if I am the Isha Elokim, fire will come down from the heavens and burn you. And this is exactly what happened on the spot. Fire came down from heaven and burnt this entire militia, entire, I don't know, whatever, how many people there were there. So the king sent another band of soldiers. Again, their officer said, "You are the Isha Elohim. You're under arrest by the order of the king." And I know we told him exactly the same thing. If I am Isha Elohim, fire will come down from the Shemaim and will burn you. Bam! Fire comes down from and burn and consumes them. The third group of soldiers came, and the officer bent down on his knees and bowed down. So I know it says, "Please, don't burn me, but please come with me, to the king." So now he says, "Okay, since you're asking nicely, I will come." And this is how he came. I mean, we know the Moibsen he was Mechayim Mason. He held the rain, shut off. He had the key of rains. That's it. And the Shevach, the main Shevach Batananav, was not about miracles, but the fact that Sachu Achorov Hashem Elokim. Rabbi Shemtov said, "This is what I want," and this is, and you notice that after Baal Shem Kodesh, the various tzaddikim that lived afterwards, they all wrote amazing Chedush Torah, obviously, Giluyim Nifloim, Degel Machne Ephraim, the Melimelech, the Balatanya, and Gevaldige Inyonim. And until it came down to Rabbeinu, that the main thing was not the union of Moifsim, but the main thing is to pick every person up by the bootstraps and bring him close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. There's Moradika the Kuta Aloha that I saw today, but I won't go off on a tangent here. At Hashem, schusat again aleinu, but at Hashem, we'll all have a gewaldige week. We'll all feel good, be healthy and wealthy. But at Hashem, each of us should have tremendous Yeshuas and Refuas. B'schut Baal Shem HaKodesh, schusat again aleinu. Ma'aseh niflo from Rabbeinu, Rashash Rab Shalom Sharabi, schusat again aleinu. Rabbeinu Rashash used to go every night to Kodesh HaMaravi, to say Ting Chatzois. Now, he would cry very, very loud. It's interesting. This is something that, it's a little story after this. The Arabs that would build there, it would disturb them, waking up from their sleep, and they became one day they became sick and tired with this, waking up in the middle of the night, every single night. So he decided that they will wait for him, and when he'll come, they'll beat him up. And this is what happened. They came, and the time when he came there, he saw them, and he realized what was going on. And he lifted up and he looked at them, and they all just stood there. They were frozen. They couldn't move. And he just passed over to the Koselam, obviously taking Chatzos, and went back. And they were all standing there. They were basically like frozen in place. And that's the way they remained until the morning. And their leaders in the morning, they realized what was going on. They realized this is a punishment because of what they wanted to do. So they went, and the relatives of these people went, and they fell down. They bowed down to the Rashash. They begged him, please, to unfreeze, for lack of a better word, their relatives. And this is exactly what he did. And he said, never do it again. And he davened for them, and immediately they, it was a big Kiddush Hashem. At the same time in Yerushalayim, there was the Turkish. There were, I think, under the Turks. The Turks, whoever it is that I don't know if it was the Turks or the Arabs, who was the ruler of Shalam at the time of the Rashash, probably the Turks. And he made a big he put a big tax on the Jews of Jerusalem and told them, when they're supposed to get it. We find this is a recurring theme. Rabbeinu says that it's because the money of a Jew contains the supernal colors in it. The Chena Elyon, that's why the Goyim are craving Jewish money. The minute it comes into their hands, it loses those supernal colors, so they demand more and more. That's the reason for this. So, but the poor Jewish congregation in Yerushalayim could not afford this kind of tax. So the minister took 3 rabbanim and put them in jail. No chachmas. He says he's going to kill them if the money will not be brought. So Rabbeinu Rashash went together with a few of the elders of the city to the minister to ask him and beg him to take off the gzera. But the minister refused to hear, and he said that if until morning the money will not be brought to him, he says all 3 of the rabbanim will be killed. So the Rashash came close to him and said, you should know, if these 3 chas v'chalila will be killed, there'll be a 4th one killed with them. So the minister understood that, it was an offer he couldn't refuse. He became extremely upset. And he said to the Rashash, you're going to be the 4th one. He realized the Rashash was talking about him. So he pointed at Rashash and said, you're going to be the 4th one. But the Rashash just looked at them and they went back. They couldn't get to him. And the Rashash and the people left the house. At night, that minister couldn't sleep. And he was, he understood what was going on. And he realized that he's in bad trouble. And in the morning, he let the 3 rabbanim leave. And this was that particular story with Rabbeinu Rashash. I don't say exactly similar story, but Reb Shmuel Shapiro, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, used to go. He was passed away 40 years ago, 40-something years ago. He used to go to the Koisel Chatzeres every night, and also he would cry there very, very loudly. And the Arabs that live in the neighborhood, the Arabs that live, I see here, it's 89. There was the same year that Abel Cheshem passed away and Reb Shmuel Shapiro passed away. When he went to the Koisel, and the Arabs, they came to him and they stopped him and they started screaming at him, that he should stop what he's doing, otherwise whatever it is that they're going to do. And he spoke to them in Yiddish. He answered that there's no other purpose in this world except serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he kept on saying it again, again, again. So they looked at him and they said to one another, he's just a lunatic, just let him go. And this is how they let him go. Well, to come to understand the kind of Yishuv Adas that Shmuel Shapiro had, he went to the Korsel one of the nights. He went to the Korsel. He had the same place. where he used to stand and say Tikkun Chatzos. And he was bitten by a scorpion. And he was in such pain that he couldn't walk there to carry him home. The next night, he was standing in the same place by the Koisel Chatzos. So somebody asked him, just the night before, you're bitten by a scorpion, so you're not afraid to stand there. So he said, I understand. Well, the Akrov, the scorpion, weckt sich auf Chatzos jede Nacht. Well, the scorpion wakes up Chatzos every night. Well, one time it happened, finished. And it's like, Yeshivadas, a regular person was like, well, it's like, I can't, the shock and the this. And okay, what happened? It happened one time. All right, let's take a quick look at Sichos Haran for this week. Let's see, here we go. Sichos Haran, there's also Shebech HaTzadikim. Here we can see, just a second. Here we go. Sicha 160, Kuf Samach. And Nosson says, I heard from a person that was Meshamash, probably Reb Shimon, that is buried in Tzfas, that served Rabbeinu when he was very, very young. Rabbeinu was Osik Betanesin. Rabbeinu would fast 18 times a year from Shabbos to Shabbos. There is no more than 18 Shabbosim where you can fast straight from one Shabbos to the next without any Yom Tovim, without whatever it is that fall in between. You're not allowed to fast. So for 18 years a year, Rabbeinu would fast from Shabbos to Shabbos, and he would not prepare anything, for the fast ends, like milchiks and stuff like this. Nothing. He would just eat regular food. So probably Reb Shimon that served him in the time that Rabbeinu was fasting, that he said that that one time Rabbeinu Zal was Messiah from Shabbos to Shabbos. In the middle of the week, Yom Revi, that blood came out of his nose, in his eyes, basically, his eyes, his nose, his mouth, and the person was shouting, was screaming. He told him, he said he's going to do a rash, he's going to tell everybody in Rabbeinu's house that he became so weak, and so Rabbeinu spoke to him, appeased him. He says, you should know, that's the derech, that in the middle of the week, the fast is the hardest. You will see that tomorrow things will be easier for me. Until that person had to remain quiet because Rabbeinu swore him to secrecy. And once, he says he was Shabbos in the middle of the week, he had to lie on his bed and had to hang his leg up and put it on his head because he was so weak. Later on in his life, Rabbeinu said that had he known how potent tefillah is, he would not have wrecked his body with Tanesim. He said, I had a good, fine body that, that didn't push itself. And I broke it down with fasts. And he said, later on, had I known how potent the tefillah is, I would not have done that. But the one thing that we need to see and understand here, yes, Rabbeinu had a neshama that is a pella. Rabbeinu says that it's he's a ish pella and his neshama is a great pella. But the whole pella would have taken him nowhere without this extreme avodah and dedication. We have to understand, and we're speaking about Rabbeinu, some people are lean towards thinking that the Rebbe is not a Rabbeinu, but the Rebbe is somebody that comes down from Shemaim perfect. You already from the moment go, he is, there's no problems. He doesn't have, there's no bilbulim, there's no sfekas, there's no. It's not so. Rabbeinu said that you should know that every single one of the tzaddikim went through the same difficulties that you go through. He went through your madrega as well, and he went through difficulties that you are facing as well. And he worked, and he worked, and he worked. There's no other way of doing it. I mean, you put in the work, it works if you work it. Very simple. And the great tzaddikim are great tzaddikim because they put in the kind of work that they did. They said that once Reb Nosson was saying, Sharon Besmedrish was talking about the heart of Avram Avinu, and I said this too. I'm mixing two stories. He talked about Reb Nosson said as follows: why was Avram Avinu? He says because he had that kind of resolution that's commensurate with the madrega of Avram Avinu. Why was Moshe Rabbeinu? Because he had a commensurate amount of his chaskos, of resolution. He was that resolute and focused and given over to doing it so he became Moshe Rabbeinu. Why Arizal was Arizal? He had that amasis chaskos. Why the Baal Shemtov was the Baal Shemtov? Because he had the Baal Shemtov level of his chaskos. Why Rabbeinu HaKodesh was Rabbeinu HaKodesh? As a young man, as a teenager that fasts 18 times from Shabbos to Shabbos. And the Nosson says, and why am I only who I am? Because that's the kind of chaskas that I have. There's chaskas of Reb Nosson. But the point is that this was their generation and our generation, and in our generation, Baruch Hashem, there are Evdei Hashem that serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with the to the nth degree, with everything that they do. Usually, we look at them and, either, he's our age, or there's a, he went with me to yeshiva, or, whatever it is. It's he's not my level, or maybe he is, you're making a big mistake. I remember him when he was a youngster. I remember that Rebbe Shlomo Shik told me, he said that somebody said about, he didn't tell me, tell a bunch of people, he said somebody said about Reb Nosson, what are you talking about? Reb Nosson is such a big tzaddik. I myself see Moshe Rabbeinu eat lokshen with cheese, lokshen with kez. So he said, it was very charming how he said it. And so Rebbe Shlomo Shik said that, and what do you think? Moshe Rabbeinu nicht gegessen lokshen with kez? What do you think? Moshe Rabbeinu did not eat cheese with lokshen with cheese. What do you think? They were like, ethereal beings. They were people that work that hard. And that's why they were what they were, and everything is totally on them. That's exactly the poison of Oisa Ish. Come down with a golden parachute. From heaven's all perfect, everything is negat. Just like, it's not a human being. It's not a human being. I mean, just like a Baruch Hashem, Ashreinu, 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 Ashreinu. I want to wish each and every one of you a wonderful week and a wonderful Shovavim. And B'ezrat Hashem, we'll see you all in Mitzvah Hashem on Monday night in Sipurey. Be good and be healthy and be happy, B'ezrat Hashem.